Namaste, Rashmi. Namaste, everyone. Very warm welcome to this broadcast today. Muji ji ki jai. Ananta ji ki jai. Sangha ki jai. Namaste, Nitya. You said there's a lot of noise today in the background. Are you able to hear what I'm saying, or is it that bad that you can't even hear what I'm saying? Yeah, the video is not very sharp because the internet connection that I'm using is, let's say, not the most high-speed internet. You guys can come into the Hangout, actually. I sent the Hangout link. The video quality in the Hangout is quite nice. Do you guys want to come into the Hangout? You have the link, right? You have the link to come into the Hangout. Sound is okay for Rashmi. Okay. Yeah, it looks like it's gonna be just me on the Hangout then. That's okay, Rashmi. That's fine. That's fine. So can we find heaven anywhere else but here? Nitya says she had to leave in about 10 minutes for some minutes and coming back. So it's fine, Maria. It's fine. It's fine. So can we find heaven anywhere else but here? So I just heard a Byron Katie quote where she says, "We are so busy making improvements that we don't notice that we've stepped out of heaven." We are so busy making improvements that we don't notice that we've stepped out of heaven. What could heaven be? How could it look like? Can the whole world begin and end with just I? Every time I project a you, can I project it back to myself and say I? Every time I say I need something from you, can I project it back and say I need something from myself? Every time I expect something from life, can I give it to myself instead of waiting for life to give it to me? So ultimately, what we're looking for is happiness and peace and contentment, the joy of being. Instead of waiting for life to give it to us, can we give it to ourselves right in this instant? When we step out of this moment, are we stepping out knowing the center, or are we stepping out having forgotten the center? In reality, we can never forget the center. We can only imagine that the center has been lost. So, what are the beliefs that we are holding on to that make us feel like the center is being lost? Where could the center be if not here? Where could the center be if not where I am? Wherever I am, that's where the center is. In the midst of crisis, that's where the center is. In the midst of joy, that's where the center is. So we can begin to ask ourselves, is there something in life we feel is not a blessing? Is there something in life we feel is not complete in itself? Is there something in life we feel is wrong? Is there something that we don't want? Is there something that we much rather not have? So we have to begin asking ourselves, have we begun to enjoy the exploration? Have we begun to enjoy the process of self-discovery? I remember this beautiful story that I heard once. There was a monk who was sitting under a tree and meditating for 7 years. He had already meditated for 7 years and he was still meditating. So the Bodhisattva passed by and he said, I'm going to heaven, I'm going to speak to God. Do you want me to ask him how long is it going to take you to reach enlightenment? So the monk said, yeah, please do ask God if how long it will take for me to reach enlightenment. So Bodhisattva said, okay. Then he saw another guy who was dancing around a tree. Then he asked this guy, I'm going to meet God. Do you want me to ask him how long it's going to take for you to reach enlightenment? So this guy who was dancing around the tree said, I don't mind. If you want to ask him, you can ask. And he continued jumping and dancing around in joy. So Bodhisattva came back. He told the monk, apparently God told that it will take 6 more years for the monk to attain enlightenment. So the monk said, okay, I must meditate harder. I've already meditated for 7 years. I don't know why I haven't attained yet. So I'll meditate for 6 more years. And he started meditating even more rigorously. So then he went to the guy who was dancing around the tree and said, for you, it's going to take another few lifetimes. So he said, so wonderful. And he started jumping around. And in that joy, he attained enlightenment. So have you begun enjoying the journey just yet? Have you begun to fall in love with all the things that are incomplete? Because in our falling in love with the incomplete, it becomes complete. Are we okay with our imperfections? Are we okay being a broken Buddha? Knowing that nothing is really broken. Can we embrace the incomplete and the complete in one breath? All the situations, all the circumstances that are manifesting in our life is somehow manifested by the consciousness itself, is manifested by God Himself. So a layer of thought that doesn't agree with this manifestation cannot really affect our peace or happiness unless we give it our belief. Even when we give it our belief, if we were to see, even in that moment of suffering, we can see that life is fully supporting us. Life is pointing us back as to how even this instant, where it seems to be that I'm suffering deeply, is full of grace. It's pointing me back to my center, it's pointing me back to grace, it's pointing me back to my beloved. Nitya says, very beautiful, Om. Thank you, my dear. Rashmi says, all is grace, beloved. All. Nothing is out of grace. Absolutely. Absolutely. So Father gave this washing machine example that, there are times when there is rinse and dry, and then there is times where it's heavy spin. So when we fall in love with this process, then it doesn't matter what's really happening because we are in love. I think we would have heard ourselves saying that sometimes it's the company that matters. Sometimes we say, I don't mind going for a bad movie if I'm going for a bad movie with you. You may say that to your partner, you may say that to a very good friend because you're already having a good time. It doesn't matter what's happening externally. So the process of self-discovery is one of joy. Each time something is seen through, I have just discovered one of the facets of the infinite facets of myself. I've discovered one of the infinite dimensions of myself. Each day I'm learning something new about myself. No moment is not about me. No situation is not about me. Everything is about this I, which is consciousness itself. The truth is exploring itself out of its own joy. Rashmi says, yes, this love. Nothing else is needed, no more seeking. This love is enough. Yes. We can ask ourselves, even in the seeking, is not that seeking also born out of love? Sometimes we've heard masters say, stop seeking. What you're looking for is already what's looking. But also what they're saying is that it's not the seeking itself that is wrong. It's the motive behind the seeking. The motive is often that I'm incomplete. Through this search, I'm going to complete myself. Which is just another thought. Right in the midst of a feeling of suffering itself, if you were to look at that energetic sensation, you'd actually feel gratitude for its presence. Because when else could you feel this tremendous tension in the body which is going to resolve itself soon enough? Is not this life about the great contrast? So the love that we have for the Guru is the kind of love that will eventually transform to love for everything and everyone. We will come back to shed the light of our own love on all the things that we've let go of or ignored. We will come to see that even the seeming evil is grace. Even the seeming difficult moment is grace. So we can develop this habit, so to say, of looking at each moment and seeing what is its blessing. It doesn't have to be a strenuous exercise. It could just be a thing that we do. Because sometimes we see that we've gotten so used to looking at each moment from the perspective of the little me that we have forgotten that everything is serving the big me, which I truly am. Everything in this world is waiting for the light of our love to be shed on it. If we ourselves were to shut it off, who else would shed their light of love on it? Nitya is going for a few minutes. Okay, my dear. Thank you for being here. So with this love, we'll see that it takes guilt out of the equation. Every time we got caught up, we see the divine beauty in it. We don't have to continue being caught up, but we snap out of it. But we snap out of it with the perspective that it was grace. It is only the mind that says this shouldn't have happened. Even mind is like a child that is trying to care for the parent. It tries to care in its own immature way. We can acknowledge it for what it is and move on. There was a St. John of Cross quote. St. John of Cross was a Christian mystic. They asked him, "What is grace?" And he said, "Everything." It is the most beautiful thing to be able to discover limitless dimensions of our own self. At the same time, knowing that nothing is gained or lost. It is in the nature of love to explore. It is in the nature of love to transform everything unto itself. It is in the nature of love to create seeming separation and then merge with the one. This whole game's ingredient is love. It is love that makes us seek the unity. It is love that makes us uh, diverge from the unity as well. It is love that makes us believe. It is love that makes us suffer. It is love that makes us cause suffering as well. As we said, we can listen to the parent or we can listen to the child. The child's idea of love is a bit immature, but still, love is at the root of it. Rashmi, my dear, you have something to say? Thank you for being here, my dear. Thank you for your open heart that loves us to share like this. Rashmi says, all I can say these days is thank you and I love you. Nothing else comes. State of divine grace. Nitya says she's back, but have to go again in some minutes. A little confused with time today. That's okay, my dear. That's okay. Can we see that every being, every situation, every circumstance is serving us? So, in those moments where we feel like we've stepped out of grace, we can ask ourselves the question, how's this situation serving me? Is anything excluded from the wisdom of life? And our joy is in being student in this school of life. Our being is so spacious that it can hold two positionalities without any difficulty. It can hold the positionality of knowing itself to be the changeless one as well as the changeful one. Yes, Rashmi says everything that pinches serves me, everything that doesn't pinch serves me too. What grace. Yes. It's very beautiful. How can it be otherwise? If my being is projecting the whole universe, why wouldn't it serve me? In this love, hatred is not excluded. In this silence, noise is not excluded. In this peace, disturbance is not excluded. This is inclusion without an exclusion. How can the one exclude itself? Nitya, you have something to share, my dear? contemplation that's been arising here is, can we internalize the whole world? Can it begin and end with me? Every time I ask freedom from life, can I give freedom to life first? Every time I expect beings around me to behave a certain way, can I behave a certain way first? Can I see the wisdom in whatever circumstances there are? Can I be the first to include? Can I be the first to extend a hand? Can I be the first to offer myself? Can I be the first to love? Nitya says, how can the one exclude itself? Love it. Your own being spoke these words. Have we really stepped out of heaven? Can we really manage to do this imagined, impossible task? Can grace also be fierce? For grace, it sees nothing but itself. Can we question our thoughts for the joy of it? Can we explore life in our freedom? Can we explore life through the ground of joy, through the ground of peace? Can we offer ourselves more fully to life just because we can, just because it's a joy to do so? Nitya's coming back soon. It's okay, my dear. Can we embrace a life that is pregnant with all possibilities? We excluded everything to find our freedom, but now we know that we are the untouched one. Now, can we include everything back? Right in this moment, breath is flowing through this body effortlessly. The back is sitting upright straight. The wall behind is supporting this. The neck is supporting this head. There are millions and millions of cells working in unison to keep this body functional. And this being has come about through a miraculous process, which nobody knows why. And witnessing is functioning by itself. Is the person needed? Do we need to use the person anywhere in this process? Even if the person were to arise momentarily, could it be outside this field of grace? Can we ever really step out of heaven? Can everything be used as the fuel for the fire of truth? Does anything need to be excluded at all to find the truth? Can each thing be seen for what it actually is and nothing more or nothing less? we ever really know what something is for? In the truest sense, can we ever really know what something is for? In this state of not knowing, we are open to the possibility that the being that created these circumstances will reveal itself in a way to us that is unfathomable. That is unfathomable to the mind. In a moment of openness, when we contemplate what a certain situation brings, we can see that in that quiet, non-waiting waiting, in that quiet, peaceful place, the answer is revealed. So it's very difficult to say anything more after we say that everything is grace, is it not? How would life be if everything was seen as a blessing? How would life be if we were open to the possibility that life is a blessing, if it was anything at all? In this openness, we find landmines of grace exploding in our being, full of insights and joy. Rashmi says, I can just sit here quietly or listen to you talk. Doesn't matter. So the seeker entity has brought us this far. We can give it a nice pat on the back and send it back home. Before asking anything from the world, I think we should ask ourselves, am I giving myself to the world fully? Am I giving myself to myself fully? Am I giving myself what I need before I ask that from the world? It seems obvious that before we search anywhere, we need to search ourselves, but somehow this doesn't arise for a lot of us. We start externally and then come back. Nitya's back, she says. So quite simply, without trying to sound like the Advaita police, we can ask, we can do this thing where we say, no others, just me. There's no one else in this world, just me. How will our life function now? Or we can look at it another way. We can say, everyone else is also I. How would we treat them now? How would we view life now? So when we say, I expect freedom from life, then it becomes, I expect freedom from me. So can we give ourselves the freedom that we've been longing for? So if all there is only I, can there be something inauspicious? Can something go terribly wrong? Everything is pulsing with the holy presence. I. The underworld of concepts is ready to be exploded by the landmines of grace. Only to reveal that everything is grace. So, Ms. Hello. Hello, brother.
Hey, homie.
You were a bit, I can see you clearly, but your audio is acting up a bit. I don't know if he exit the call or he. So, when we start swimming in the ocean, sometimes when we get on the beach, if we think that we know swimming, we are quite happy to venture out far from the coast, knowing that nothing can happen to us. So we are in this life to swim this way fearlessly, to swim without any apprehension, to swim knowing that I cannot drown, for it is the ocean of grace. Nitya, Rashmi, you guys have something to say? I can't believe I've spoken for 50 minutes non-stop. like to hear something from you guys now, if I can. Rashmi says, I don't know what to say, beloved. Love you. Drowning in father's love. Nitya says, me either. So the nature of freedom, the nature of heaven is freedom. And we can never step out of it. Knowing this, would we play the game differently? Nitya says, so beautiful just to listen to you. I'd love to listen to you guys as well, you know. The monologues get a bit repetitive after a while. Yeah, I just saw that Soham says his tablet froze. Can we find joy right in this instant without changing anything? If not, what are the concepts that prevent us from experiencing this joy? What is the proof that the mind gives us that joy is not here already? What is convincing us that we need to step away from where we are? So, no matter what the situation is, the answer always is I am here. When I am, the presence of God is itself here. Where else do I need to be? Rashmi says, I will try getting this hangout thing to work. We'll try to be there next time. Would love to be on it. Yes, my dear. It'll be very beautiful to have you. Nitya says, I love just to follow the contemplations from you. And I love to just see your joyful face. Nitya and I share this beautiful, quiet relationship where when I saw her in London for the first time, maybe the second time, we sat in a cafe just quietly, completely satisfied, drowning in each other's presence, full of peace and joy. When we let go of something, are we scared of what we will let go of? Do we need to be scared of anything at all? How can we be out of grace? How can we do this impossible thing? I think God wanted to have a experience of how grace feels like. So he imagined that he stepped out of it so that he can step back right into it and experience it in its full way. As we've been exploring in the last couple of broadcasts, this realm seems to be about contrast. So just in a moment of seeming separation, if we ask ourselves, how is grace serving me right in this instant? We'd know that we are never out of it. And if we can know this even in the most difficult moments, then we know that it's there all the time. It is who we are. May this life have the freedom to explore itself in a way that it chooses. Let there be peace amongst all beings of the universe. Let there be light, love, and joy. May our presence be in service to that which is true. And remind ourselves and everyone around us of the infinite possibility of this life. Amen. Moji ji ki jai, Ananta ji ki jai, Sangha ki jai. Rashmi says, can you please sing for us someday? Don't want to force though. I'll tell you what we can do though. I'll bring the guitar along and I can play the guitar while you sing. Or maybe we can sing the chorus parts together. I have a song in mind. Maybe one of these in-person satsangs. Soon we can do it. Thank you, beloveds, for joining in this broadcast. Thank you for being a part of this contemplation and serving as a mirror for me to reflect myself. Thank you. So it's time to listen to Beloved Ram's broadcast now. I'll join you guys in a few minutes. Bye. Thank you, Rashmi. Thank you, Nitya.